Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Josefine Meets. And today I'm super excited because I have a very, very special guest today. Her name is Debbi Sluys, and she is the vision board queen. And vision boarding is something that I was a late bloomer when it comes to vision boards. I never really did them, never really tried them out. So I'm really excited that we get to have Debbi on the show today, where she gets to share a little bit about her magic. She will also tell a little about a workshop that she's organizing next week so that you get to know a little bit more about that one too. And when we look at it from a point of entrepreneurship, I mean, how cool isn't it that someone just focuses on one tool, vision boards, and becomes super duper successful. So those people, those of you who are like, oh, I don't know whether I should niche down or I can't go too narrow. Well, here you have a perfect example of why niching down is the way to go. So I'm super excited to have Debbi here today. If you're watching the replay, please add your questions so that Debbi and I can pick up on any of those questions. But let's head over to you, Debbi. Please give us a little bit more background about yourself, who you are, and where you're from, and what you love doing.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you so much, Josephine. So I am in Ontario, Canada, Canadian girl, and I'm a mom of four. I have two boys and two girls. My girls are twins, identical twins. And I am also a grandma. I have three grandchildren. I spent most of my life in a leadership role in not-for-profit. I was a childcare director of a multi-site organization. And so I answered to a board of directors. I led a team of about 75 women. Loved that. I still am registered with the Canadian College of ECEs because I love being an early child educator. And I still do a lot of work within the early years community. But what I noticed was my own personal development. I wanted to expand my own self-awareness and personal development, even though I had spent a lot in professional development. And then as I became self-aware, I realized that I wanted my employees, my educators to have it as well. And what I knew was that what children deserve is an educator who sees them as capable, competent, and curious. But that's only possible if she sees herself in that same way and loves herself and gains that self-confidence. So you talked about niching into vision boards, and I can pause now and sort of see if there's a specific question that you have around how I discovered that.
Yeah, definitely. But first, we need to bring out Åsa's comment here because we have Åsa here from Sweden watching. Åsa, I know you're into this too a little bit. So if you have any comments or thoughts, then feel free to add them as we go along. So yeah, I think that is so interesting. And I know you've also worked with some of the amazing coaches who have also helped you on your path. But how did you discover vision boards? What was it that made you say, oh, this is the thing that I want to focus on?
Yeah, well, this is kind of a weird story. I don't always share this, but this actually was one of the pieces. So I don't think there was any one thing. And as it usually happens, is that God sends various messages until we finally, sometimes it has to hit us over the head and we finally go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Or you see all the coincidences or a sequence of things, or people are telling you the same message over and over. And then you're like, I finally get it. So, but I think one of the really strong ones that kind of hit me over the head was I was a childcare director, and I had the intuitive thought, like so many of us do, which is that expansive thought that we're meant for something bigger. And the more people I speak to, many people, I think all of us have that because we're meant to expand and to continue to grow. But for some of us, we hear it more clearly and it becomes louder. And I had that same thought. And so I was actually, I had interviewed for a position. And when I asked why was not the successful candidate, I was told that I was too visionary. And yeah. And so, I mean, so obviously that organization needed to do some work, but they actually said, I want to kind of do you a favor. And because you are so visionary. And so I kind of was pouting. I was stomping around the house like, I'm too visionary. And I'm like, I am too freaking visionary. This is awesome. And I thought, what does this mean? Okay, God, what are you telling me? And so then I just started to research. And when I put vision and visionary, what came up was Jack Canfield, and he co-wrote Consume for the Soul. He's written the Success Principles, and I started to consume his videos, and just really follow him and to see what he was about. And that's how I discovered vision boards.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so interesting, and that you kind of like had to. But I think that is the piece, right? Where we think we have to have it all figured out from the beginning and then go full steam ahead. But it actually is it's a bit like a funnel, our own personal funnel, where we start quite big with you being too visionary, and then funneling it down to, okay, so what is my next step? If I want to figure out more about this, what do I need to do to take me to the next level? So that was when you started looking into Jack and what he's doing. And then I know you signed up to work with him too. So, so it wasn't just like watching his YouTube videos or listening to his, going to his workshops. You actually also worked with him and started like a relationship with him and his team, where you in the end also were interviewed on his show.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, like I said, that wasn't the one thing. There was multiple entry points into the vision boarding. 6 years ago, I had never even created a vision board for myself. I will say though that not in the conventional way. I had put up a photo of things that I wanted, and I look back now and I realize even in my 20s, I had this image in my mind of the soft brown leather jacket, and I was obsessed. I don't know if you were like in the late 80s and 90s, the leather jackets, the bomber jackets were kind of in. And I was obsessed. In fact, I would call radio stations to try to earn the money. And I was like, and I knew I would have it. I knew it. And I did. And I did get the jacket. I manifested it under a year. So I already knew that I could do that, but I just didn't know what it was all called. I didn't have the language around it. And that's what I discovered as I started to look into visioning and then coming across vision boards. And I just loved how it was so forward thinking, and that the power of our mind and how we could create. And I've already spoke about God. So I'm a Christian. And so I started to also question my Christian faith to say, well, then what does this mean about universal laws? Like, how does that work? And then how does the power of God come into play with him having control over everything? And so I just really sort of threw all the pieces of the puzzle sort of on the table and started to put things back together again. And that's how I created something so beautiful and unique around vision boards. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please
Okay.
keep going. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Okay. So most people think about a vision board as have, do, and be. So what do I want to have? The stuff I want to have, which is actually sometimes people are repulsed by the idea of a vision board because they're like, I'm not materialistic. I don't want to just, have lots of stuff. Because people are actually, I think after COVID, like minimalizing their homes and their materials. But we flip that on its head at Dare to Declare, where it starts with the being. So who do I get to be? And then what do I get to do, which are the goals? And then the have, you can leave your hands open to see what God actually gives. And so when you're in that spirit of being, to focus in on being the best version of you, which is someone who's generous, who's honest, who's loving, that gets to then be displayed in all of the areas that are yet physical, like your house, your car, your job, like, because we live a human existence. I remember having this gentleman, and he's like, I just want a big mansion. I want to have a big mansion on my vision board. And when we dug into that, it was coming from a source of trying to prove to his dad that he had made it. So I said, okay, so let's say you get this big house, then what? Like, you're going to unlock the door, the realtor is going to hand you the keys, and you're going to step into this empty hallway. And then what? And he's like, oh, I hadn't really thought that far ahead. And I said, let's put you and your friends in there, or perhaps you and a partner in there. Let's fill this home with love. Let's fill this home with laughter. Let's have fun in this house. Like, think about having a games room. Think about having barbecues in the backyard. Picture it being beautiful, filled with furnishings and gorgeous bedroom set. He's like, whoa, right? And there's the emotional connection. And that's really the key in terms of why you want to create a vision board, is because the images and you seeing yourself in it gives you that emotional composite. But the other piece about connecting God to it, and I think this is what Jack found interesting when I did have an interview with him in November 2021, was that I see it as an act of gratitude and worship, which really flips the way most people are thinking and viewing vision boards on its head. That I see it that I've been given this life. So this goes into my why and my purpose, which my purpose is to glorify God by expanding my life through gratitude so that I can help others joyfully expand theirs. And when I recognize that I've been given this gift of life, I honor my creator by dreaming as big as possible into it. Because if I'm just laxy daisy and unintentional and just sort of floating through life, think about if you give a gift to someone and they go, oh, thanks, and they toss it aside, you're going to be like, hey, right? I put thought into that. That, this is something that maybe I sacrificed money for it, and I certainly took time to pick it out for you. And if you're just kind of tossing it aside as though it's just, well, I expect to get that gift, how much honor and respect does that give you to the giver? So I think the giver of life, by creating a vision board and being intentional about it, we honor our creator. So that's how I see it in that regard.
I have so many questions, but if we go a little bit deeper into vision boarding, because I'm reading a book which I absolutely love, but it was in the beginning that really kind of threw me off a little bit, because she starts by saying, well, you should create your vision board, and then in the next chapter she says, but you should dream bigger. So now you need to go and redo your vision board again. And I was like, what a waste of time. She could have swapped the chapters, and I would have started with my vision board. But so two questions, but let me start with the first one. Can you put the wrong things on your vision board? Because when we started today's session, you said, oh, I don't want to manifest that. Can you manifest the wrong things on your vision board, and how do you avoid that?
Yeah, great question. 100%. Because the universal laws that are created by God, they don't have the intelligence. They just are. They're a law. Like the law of gravity, right? It works every time. It works exactly the way that's supposed to work. So the other universal laws, like cause and effect, you do something, this is going to happen. That's the way it always works every single time. So it doesn't discriminate whether or not it's good for you. Like the law of gravity is helping me stay nicely in my chair. But also, if I push my chair out, I will fall on the ground and hurt myself. The law of gravity doesn't care. It just is, it doesn't have that same supportive that the infinite intelligence, what I call God, has. And so you have the responsibility to get clear on what it is that you want and put on your board what you want, not what you don't want, because where your focus goes, your energy flows. And so you see people that complain to say, I keep having the same thing in my life. Well, we were talking earlier, you're right. Like,
yeah,
it can be a hamster wheel where it's like, and sometimes we need the lessons repeated over and over until we finally get it. It's just like, oh, I'm actually attracting that in. There's a paradigm, something, deeply seated in my subconscious that I'm not even consciously aware of, that I keep putting this energy out and I keep attracting that kind of person in. So yes, I think there's a couple of things that I would guard against. One is simply putting money on your board. And many people want to put images of, like a fan of money, or like people doing the money thing, or a money tree. But money is a how. Money in itself is almost like a universal law. It's an idea. It's not actually something that invokes the emotion. It's the passage through to the vision. The other thing that I would say is get really clear. So this is something I've seen people make mistakes, is where they're wanting to attract a partner, a life partner. And so they'll put an image of a very handsome man on their board, but they're not getting clear on the characteristics. And I had a woman say, like, I attracted a complete,
scumbag.
Scumbag, thank you. And but I've seen the opposite to be true as well. In fact, I have an example of that in my vision board workshop, where Melissa, she got really clear and put an image. And when I actually put the image side by side of her vision board image as well as her engagement picture, which literally happened a year later, people thought they were the same picture. And I'm like, no. This is fictional. This is what she put a year ago when we just looked through magazines, and this is her reality. But she also wrote on the back that he was kind and loving and respectful and, helped with the dishes or whatever, you want to put those things. I had a gentleman as well. He said, I'll never make a vision board again. And I said, oh, tell me about that. And he said, I wanted a big house, I wanted a fancy car, and I wanted lots of money in my business. He said, and I got it all. And I said, great. What's the problem? He said, I lost my marriage. So one of the things that I recommend as well is that you not singly focus on your board on one area. So I support my clients to look at all 7 areas, and they are leisure. So how do you want to spend your free time? So you might want to think about travel or sitting in your backyard. So your pause, like your time for yourself. Education, and I mean that in the sense of what do you want to learn about? So not, it could be in the academic sense, but it could be, I've always wanted to learn about photography, or I've always wanted to learn a new language. So something like that. Spiritual, to include the spiritual component. How do you want to grow in your faith? And that could be, yes, more conventional religion, but it could be that it's want to spend more time in nature and in gratitude. Professional, which has to do with obviously a career, but it could be that many of my clients are retired and they're looking at for purpose work, but it could be in a volunteer capacity. Financial, but also in the idea of the philanthropy, so giving back. So in terms of your financial freedom, and what does that feel like? So, you know, I have a magazine, and a vision board magazine, and there's a lot of pictures with people with their hands in the air because I think that's kind of that feeling like, woo, so good, you know, to have that financial freedom. And then personal, which is personal actually has to do with your own mental health, physical health. A lot of, particularly women, are wanting to release weight. They want to have high energy. They want to fit back into some clothes that they had before. And then also relationships. And that could be with your partner, intimacy. It could be, you know, just rekindling the fire within your relationship. But it also could be relationship with your children or extended family. So really, like if you've ever seen the Wheel of Life, that kind of mirrors this, where you have that, because how we do something somewhere is how we do it everywhere. So
yeah,
it's possible having as many of those areas represented on your board.
Yeah. Super important. And I think also because as part of my coaching certification, we did develop, or we given the task of doing a vision board, but not in the super structured sense as you were saying. And I think it is can be a little bit of a, I wouldn't say danger, but a little bit danger there in such a thing, because the thing is, do you trust the people that you are in the same room with? Do you really want to share what your inner, like what your aspirations and your goals are? And I know that for me, I probably, if I would have been in a different setting, I probably would have put different things on my board. So I think that is also super duper important. But another point that I also wanted to correct was what I did when I quit my corporate job was I followed the Artist's Way by Cameron. I can't remember her first name, but anyways, and there she said, put down a list of your experiences, things that you want to experience in writing. And I did that in writing, like thought like really wild and crazy. I thought I put down being in a flash mob, for example. I thought that I had put that down. And then last summer, the opportunity gave itself that we were in an amusement park, and there was line dancing in there. And I was like, oh, this is almost like a flash mob, like very spontaneous. I'll go up there. My family were so embarrassed. And I was like, I will do this. I'm doing this now. And when I came back home, I pulled out that list that I thought I had put down. I would be in a flash mob. And it says, I want to dance in a group of people where everyone does, the same movement, which was exactly what I had been doing, right? So, and other things that I had put down on that list, everything is, the last thing that I had on that list will actually come true in 2.5 weeks' time. So everything has come true on that list. So, and you mentioned that too, that on the back of that picture of her fiance or her future fiance, she put down the characteristics. So do you work both with pictures in your magazine, for example, and in writing, or is it can writing or just pictures? How would you say is the perfect combination?
Yeah, and there is no wrong way. I've seen people. I had one woman, and she had written down a note. I will meet the man of my dreams in Paris and be married in Paris. And she put it in a drawer and forgot about it. Then she went on a trip a number of years later with a girlfriend. Was in Paris. Her girlfriend said, "One of our high school guys is here. He's like, must be social media. They could tell that he was there. Do you want to meet him for dinner? Sure, let's invite him." Well, you know what happened next?
Yeah.
They connected and she married. Um, and then she remembered, when she got back, that she had written this down and put it in a drawer and kind of put it away. Now, mind you, I don't know what this a span of years was. I think like 10 years or something. Now, there is no wrong way, but the way that I teach it accelerates it. I have people that manifest. We have a mutual acquaintance, you and I,
Hmm.
Tina Brinkley,
Hmm.
is,
Hmm.
is an amazing coach. Like she manifested within 3 months. Like, she's just an extraordinary manifester. But that's an exceptional. But typically it's 6 months to a year. So yeah, so if you want to manifest more quickly, I would say add images. But it's 42% more likely to manifest if you get it out of your head and down on paper.
Hmm.
And 78% more likely to manifest if you add images and declare it. But declaring it, I think you made a really great point there. This is one of the most intimate experiences.
Hmm.
And you want to declare it to people that are as excited about your vision as you are. And that may not even include your spouse. Like I have had to have that conversation with some of my clients. So, yeah, so there is no wrong way. I would say, though, that the point of the vision board is to invoke emotion.
Hmm.
And research shows, again, if you know anything about marketing, that emails, when you open an email, if there's a video in it, your eyes directly drawn to the video or to the image, and then you go back up and read the script. So we process images 60 times more quickly. So you want to have it optimized in terms of what your eye is drawn to versus words. So I always encourage my clients to have words be the secondary part. Find your images first. Also have them be large so that they're really that intentional declaration, letting the universe know this is what I want. Uh,
Hmm.
and then the words are there to complement. Yeah.
You told me once, because I said very proudly, I said once, you and I and Christina had a chat, and I said I was very proudly announced that I had done a vision board in Canva, and you were like, Josephine, God, God, you shouldn't make them in Canva. You can, but it's better if you cut them out. So I think that is also part of the real piece of the puzzle to solve it really.
It is. Yeah. Paper is important. And that's why I did create my own physical magazine that I mail out to people. I could do a digital option, but I've chosen not to because this goes back to my background in early years. And what I know is that children, when we play, when we actually experience the materials, then it goes into the conscious and subconscious. And
Mm.
so if there's something about touching the paper and also allowing the law of attraction to work before you even complete your board, trusting that the images that are supposed to be revealed will be revealed versus left brain, which is like trying to Google an outcome. The point of a vision board is not to make it a designer board to be aesthetically pleasing like an Instagram board
Hmm.
or a
Hmm.
Pinterest board, although that will happen. Everyone that creates a board with paper, I've never had anyone say, I don't like my board. Everyone falls in love with their vision board. Why? Because it represents their dreams and it always becomes aesthetically pleasing. I have one more thing to share, actually. It's interesting. Oh, I see. She loves paper too. Yeah.
Yeah. So also just commented, I love paper too. It holds energy for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's so true. Because when you're touching it versus just it being, in the internet space. I was doing a workshop, a retreat in Georgia a few weeks ago, and the hostess, she has these beautiful, I don't have it here, but beautiful wands, like a wand, WAND, and the handles are made of crystal, and then the wand piece is made of feathers, and each one was a different color in terms of the dominant color in terms of the feathers. And so each participant came in and sat down based on sort of the wand, because we had the foam core board, we had the magazine, we had the pen, everything. The only distinguishing piece that was different was the wand color. So everyone chose. when they declare their board, and this is something that I have as a protocol at the end to give an additional interpretation, I always ask the participant, what's the dominant color based on all the images that you individually chose? And there's always one or two colors, like orange in the feng shui means happiness. And to our surprise, mine as well, this is the first time I've been doing this for a number of years, every participant, so there was 8 of them, the color that was dominant on their board was the color that they had chosen 6 hours prior based on their wand.
Crazy. Yeah. Really crazy.
And that was so it's like there is this driving force that's in our subconscious that is informing our results. And the more we become aware of it, the more we bring it forward, the more that we can be intentional and then attract what our heart's desire is. Yeah.
I love that. That is the essence, isn't it? To attract that what we desire, like really, truly, innately desire to make that happen. I would like to round this off. We are now soon at the 30-minute mark, so I think we should round this up. What is a couple of words that you want to give with them before we start sharing how they can connect with you? So what piece of advice would you like to give with those who listen to this or watch this?
Well, one of the best things that, I initially took it as, because it hit my paradigm, was one of my graduates. His name is Dr. Robert Kelly, and he's a cardiologist in Ireland, and he's one of the academy graduates. I have an academy, and he said when he first came around this material, he said it's so simple, and I was like, oh, what is he talking about? It's so simple. Right? And it was kind of, again, there's my paradigm. I was triggered by that. And then when I had a chance to dig in, he said, no, in the world, we often, and even in, the health space, we make things so complicated.
Yeah.
And this process, yes, just like peeling an onion, once you get into it, you realize the complexity of it, but it is simple. And it sometimes, again, we stop ourselves because we think, oh, I don't know how to do this, or like, just get into it. Like, so I'll give you 3 words. I'll give you 2 series of 3 words. The first is ask, believe, and receive. Now that is directly from Jack Canfield. That's his process. And I use that same framework, those 3 words, in my vision board experience when I do vision boards with my clients. Ask for what you want. Believe that it's possible when you're looking for the images, and then be open to receive. And I find most people, including myself, it's the receiving piece that trips us up. Because here's a little tip, an extra secret, is that what God sends us is typically bigger and better than what we initially imagined. And sometimes we let it pass by because it doesn't look how our human mind imagined it to be, because it's coming from the divine. So it's so much bigger and better. And so it looks different. The other series of words that I would give you is dream, discover, declare. So that's directly from my company. And again, it is really the process. Dream, just give yourself permission to dream. What if time and money were no object? What would you do? There's a great journaling prompt, like just dream with, no inhibitions. And then discover. So dig in, give yourself permission to see images. Like I had it the other day, to my mailbox came this like flyer for this sweepstakes, right? And I mean, normally that's just like in the recycling. And I thought, oh, these have awesome images. It's like your dream boat, $1 million. And I was like, tuck that away, bring that into my workshops, mail, right? But you have to be looking to see so discover. And then the last is declare. And that's so powerful when we use our voice and we declare it as though it already is. So when you're finished your vision board, I coach my clients to affirm it as though it's already in their life. So that guy with the house, for example, he'd say, this is my beautiful home, even though it's not in his life yet, but he's speaking as though it's already present. And that, I invite my friends over, we have video game parties, then we hang out in my backyard, we drink beer, we have a campfire, and you can feel it and you can see it. And so the mind can't distinguish between what's present and what's future, but it raises your vibration, creates new pathways within your brain, because what fires together, wires together. And so we literally create new pathways within our brain to know and to attract what it is that we want.
I said to a client earlier today, actually, I don't feel it. I said, I just don't feel it. You can say, I think I could do this. I don't feel it. Is this really what you want? I don't feel it. And I think that is so, that is so important. And I really loved it. What fires,
What fires together, wires together. When you have the conscious thought, which so many of us as adults get into just the left brain and just thinking, and that's where the goal is. One of the things I haven't said either is the difference between goal and vision. Vision is from God. It's like you need divine intervention in order for it to be accomplished. A goal is more, again, a plan, you get to it. So those are two things. So, and many of us make goal boards, not vision boards. So yeah, so when you feel it, which is the heart, and when you think it, and when those two come together, it wires together, it becomes new pathways within your brain.
So two things. Can people order your magazine from all over the world? And how do they do that?
Well, actually, I have to say, probably since we set this up, that is one of the things that has been taken down. Yeah. So, so we didn't have that conversation because this is something that my academy is growing so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so my academy graduates are using the magazine with their clients. And if you go to my website, there's a page there of graduates. You certainly can do a vision board with me online. And then I do mail you a magazine. But right now, yes, we've closed that down. And we're just looking at the magazine as the asset for people that are doing not just their own individual vision board workshop, but that they're actually getting the coaching. Because as you said, it takes this is next level. If you don't have results, it's not something that you can just learn about and just do it on yourself. You need to have that coach to help you make the emotional composite along with the thoughts and the choices that you're putting on your board. Because heaven forbid you make a board that you attract all the wrong stuff.
So you end up with an empty house, and then what did we say? Kind of like a man or a woman that you don't want to have. So yeah, definitely.
Right, and that's what that man had. He lost it all. He said, I lost my marriage and I lost it all. I lost my house, my job, my car, because he didn't focus on his relationship, which is, if you have to put them in order, I would say that's probably put that as a top priority as well as your own personal care. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So and I know you have a workshop. Is that one of your academies that kick off now next week, or is it kind of like a workshop that people can register for next week, or what is the next step for people who want to connect with you?
Yeah, I would say book a call and we'll have a conversation about what that looks like to incorporate vision boards. I certainly do them online. I can do a group where we bring groups together. I do workplaces. And as you said, though, I think there's something to build that trust, right? So it doesn't always translate into a workplace because it's a very intimate experience, but certainly groups of women together or couples. I do vision boards with couples, which is beautiful. So I think because it can be used in so many different applications, probably the best would be to have a call with me and to see what it is that they want for their life and how I can support them, whether it be personal, business. Is that good? Does that work?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So you have your homepage, and I have added the link. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this on LinkedIn or in my Facebook group, you will find Debbi's links so that you can start following her if you're not yet ready to book a call with her, but that you can connect with her, follow her, send her a DM. She's super friendly and she's super lovely, as you have seen now, all of you. So thank you so much, Debbi, for being here and sharing your passion for vision boarding. We didn't get to talk about niching down, but I think it has really become so obvious that when you focus on something that you're really truly passionate about, something that you also become really the expert in, you're the specialist about this. I announced you as the vision board queen, and I really truly love that, because if anyone wants to learn more about vision boarding or wants to kind of really do their vision board with all of these 7 steps to not miss out on any of the important things in it, you have to connect with Debbi so that you do it the right way. So thank you so much, Debbi, for being my guest today. And I look forward to hearing all about you when we connect the next time.
Thank you, Josephine. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much.